why am I feeling like this? Why have I lost focus? What is it that is taking me away from what I want to do? And what I tend to try and do is then listen to, okay, well, if I'm not focused on that particular task at that point in time, what is it that I need to do to get in flow and to move forward? And so I try and then lean into that task instead, knowing that I can always come back to what I'm doing.
In this episode of my podcast, Relentless Life on Your Terms, Season 3, I sit down with Jacqui Bloom, who started a company called The Helping Hub, who helps people that are experiencing difficult challenges. And I guess the best way to describe it, it's like a red balloon, but for services. We talk about the importance in showing kindness and compassion, and by gifting something to someone can really change their outlook. This is a fun episode, guys. In this episode of my podcast, Relentless Life on Your Terms, I'm joined with Jacqui Bloom. Jacqui, how are you?
Very well, thanks, Chris.
Now, you've had over 20 years experience in entrepreneurship, and you're currently running a company called The Helping Hub.
I am.
Tell me a bit about it, please.
The Helping Hub is essentially, it's a marketplace where people can gift each other products and services when they're going through a challenging time.
What do you mean by challenging time?
Challenging time. So anything that, any particular situation where someone actually just needs help. It could be a positive time. You may have just had a newborn baby. You might have, preparing for a wedding and you just need some extra things done around the house, or someone to actually help you a little more. It might also be for someone who has sadly just lost a loved one. You might be going through a divorce. The list is endless.
When you said challenging time, that's what I thought it would be. Challenging as in struggling.
And usually people think that it is just when you're struggling, and it's generally catering for when you're struggling. But that's also not to say that you might just have the flu and want a bit of extra help. You might be at home on your own and need some chicken soup.
Bit of TLC.
Exactly, bit of TLC. And a challenging time, people do generally put a negative connotation around it, but it doesn't have to be.
I like that you brought light in that. I could have used you today when you said the challenging time.
Yes.
I moved yesterday.
You lost a deal or?
No, absolutely not. I moved yesterday to a new house. Some of my clothes are still in my old house. I did not have a suit to wear today. This is the first suit I had out. Not that matching. And it's the first time I did a podcast, three podcasts with the same clothes. So I could have used you. So where's my clothes? Need to get an outfit. Half of my box is in my old place. Is that the challenging time you're referring to? Or probably not for that one.
Probably not for that one, but I could refer you. We do have a personal stylist on the Helping Hub, so I could have referred you to her as well.
Because I play with my hair a lot, so it's important.
So do I. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so tell us a bit more about it. How did the concept start? What was the inspiration or the purpose to it?
Yeah.
I know, because I know it has a quite profound story.
Yeah, so when my mum was dying of cancer, which was now, in fact, on Sunday it will be 14 years ago. At the time I had a 2-week-old and a 6-month-old, no, 2-year-old and 6-month-old children.
So very young.
Very young children. And I was running a business with over 20 staff. It was a national business, and my then husband was a shift worker, and I needed help. I needed food in the fridge, I needed washing done, I needed cleaning done, and after Mum passed away, I remember sitting in my car one day and thinking, my goodness, wouldn't it be amazing if every single time someone had said, how can I help, there would be one place, and in that space, there could be a list of things that I really truly needed, and they could go there and purchase anything on that list. It would mean that I would receive the help that I actually needed, and they would feel really, they would feel amazing knowing that they've been able to help me in a way that I truly needed.
It's a great situation. Now they can find that place.
Absolutely.
And the website is?
The Helping Hub.
The Helping Hub. So the motivation behind it was just convenience, getting somebody in a tough situation, just help them along their journey, just to make tough time go a little bit faster, so to speak.
Yeah, and it's interesting, Chris, because I actually did start the business probably about 10 years ago with the first iteration of it. So after Mum died, I continued the business, the family business for quite some time, and then decided I really wasn't fulfilling my passion or purpose, and so ended up closing that business down and starting back then what is now the Helping Hub, but realised I didn't have the right model in place, and I really didn't have the finance to back it, and so I put it aside and knew that one day I'd always wanted to come back to it. I just didn't know what it would look like. And move forward 10 or now 14 years, I have subsequently, dealt with a lot of other adversity as well in my life. I've sadly been through a divorce now. I've had, some life-threatening illness. And each time I experienced that adversity or those challenges, it was exactly the same scenario. People kept saying, how can I help? And I needed help, but I wasn't receiving the help that I needed. And I couldn't say to my sisters, can you come and wash my underwear?
The reason I'm shaking my head when you're talking is I'm looking at your slogan, and it's such a brilliant slogan, how can I help?
Thank you.
And it's a question that whether you're coming from an empathetic point of view, even in a sales process, how can I help is the most important question you could ask somebody else.
Yeah.
And it's such a powerful slogan, I love that. And now the more and more you keep talking, the slogan kind of, you just fall in your lap, what? You just thought, that's it? Because it's such a great slogan, so I just wanted to talk a bit about it.
It's interesting, every time I went through a deep dive into what is the business, what is it that we're trying to create, what are we trying to do, I kept coming back to, yes, but we're trying to answer the question, how can I help? And it didn't matter what the situation was, we just kept coming back to, how can I help? And I think that's, ultimately where it just kept rolling off the tongue, and you're like, well,
some of the best slogans come up like that.
It's here,
yeah?
help is here, how can I help? That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to solve that problem of how can I help?
I'll tell you a funny, not as inspirational, as good as your story, but I'll tell you a funny one nevertheless. I've got a snooker hall in Yarraville, and I wanted to come up with a slogan. And because I've got ADHD, I'm doing 100 things at once, and I'm just whatever. As I'm on the phone, I'm on the email.
I love that you recognise that too, by the way.
Well, I have to. Everyone around me will tell you so. I know what I am. I own it. That's me.
Awesome.
I try to improve on it. Anyway, so I'm doing 2-3 things. Working on this, working on that, working on that. And as I'm talking about the snooker, our slogan for Reventon is financial progress. How do I get one for snooker that goes, send this across. Just keep the ball rolling, I said to this guy. Just keep it going. Keeping the ball rolling.
Bang.
There's the slogan.
Love it.
I'm thinking, how can I just keep the ball rolling? I want to keep this moving forward.
Yep.
Reventon snooker ball roll. That's the slogan.
That's
so that's
it.
our Reventon snooker slogan. So when you said, how can I help? How can I help? For me, I came with that slogan of just pure luck, just through thinking. So
Perfect.
There you go.
Perfect.
Why are you so passionate about helping people?
I think partly it's innate.
Is it due to your circumstances that really opened all this up for you, do you think? Or did this accentuate something that was inside you?
I think it's always a part of me that I've had. And I think the very first real recognition of it was when, even before my mum died, my brother-in-law actually passed away at the age of 37. And he left my sister with 4 children under the age of 10. And he died of cancer, and we watched his journey over 2 years, and that was horrific. There are no other words. When you watch someone so young battling and fighting for his life with 4 young children, and so at that time I was much more capable, or had the time to help my sister a lot more, because I didn't have my own children at that point in time. So I was able to help her, and it's just, it's not even not so, as partly innate, but it's also partly how I was brought up.
It's being a good human being.
It's being taught and being brought up with incredible values that I'm so grateful I've been brought up with. And it's, passing those values on in any way I can. And if that means by helping people and doing things that are going to make a difference in someone's life, then that's what I want to be able to do.
It's a beautiful thing to be able to mix your passion in that. I've got an unfortunate history with my family. A lot of them have passed through cancer. My closest first cousin died at 37.
Sorry to hear
Another
that.
one had 3 kids. all my mum's sisters have had cancer, 2 are passed. My mum's the only one that hasn't. So it's actually, and so many have died young,
So this
30s and 40s. So when
resonates with you.
like you couldn't believe.
Yeah.
So on the back of my computer there's a photo. Look at that's my 37-year-old cousin. I grew up with him. His name was Pat. You've never met a more optimistic, happy person, and he was the most incredible human being I know. I used to call him because, as I said, we grew up together. We're very close. Going out with his mum for Greek Easter on Sunday.
Can you bring me some biscuits, please? Because
Which biscuits?
The horseshoes with the icing on the top.
When we finish this podcast, I'll make sure that you have some.
I'm on it. Thank you.
So going back to it, when I would say to him, "How you going, cuz?" he'd always say to him, "I'm all right." And one day, I'll never forget this. I called him because I heard he had stage 4 cancer in his brain. Supposed to last 3 months. He lasted over 2.5 years.
Gosh, there's similar
And
parallels.
he never called me to tell me, and I found out. I go, "Cuz, why didn't you call me?" He goes, "I heard you were a little bit sick. You were stressed out, so I didn't want to call you." To put into perspective, I had the flu, and he didn't want to stress me out. And this guy's got stage 4. And never once did I ever hear him. People say things, complain. Ever. "How you going?" He goes, "I'm doing good, cuz. How are you?" And this is a guy that knows he's about to pass. And his outlook on life, or his strength, it's different to say what you would do in a circumstance. It's different actually seeing it.
And it's interesting you talk about him in that way, because my brother-in-law, Rob, I mean, for me, he was my big brother. He'd been a part of my life from the age of 10. But he was exactly the same. When he was diagnosed, his primary tumour was in the stomach, but he was diagnosed with secondaries in the liver at that point. But his outlook, he was given 6 months and he lived for 2 years. And his outlook was incredible. And it was only, he never accepted that he was going to die until 24 hours before. And it was about 3 o'clock in the morning, and all of a sudden he woke up and he started rattling off all these passwords to bank accounts. And my sister was like, "What are you doing?" And it was the very first time he had said, "I'm going to die. You need to know all this information." And she just got a list and had to write all this down literally 24 hours before he died. It's unbelievable,
the strength people can show.
The strength and the journey, and yeah, it really is.
And look, it's going back, because I think what you're doing is a really great thing with trying to help people. When you feel overwhelmed or unfocused, how do you get your focus back when you've got all these things? Because your job is very emotional, because you're dealing with people's cases.
Yep.
How do you stay back on focus or stay with the job at hand?
I have spent the last 5 years have been a really, really interesting personal journey for me, and I've spent a lot of time actually working through what is it that I'm feeling at that point in time and how do I manage it. And so when I do lose focus, I lean into it, and I think,
What do you mean?
I feel it.
You own it?
I own it.
Is that what you mean?
Own it. But not just own it, question it. Why am I feeling like this? Why have I lost focus? What is it that is taking me away from what I want to do? And what I tend to try and do is then listen to, okay, well, if I'm not focused on that particular task at that point in time, what is it that I need to do to get in flow and to move forward? And so I try and then lean into that task instead, knowing that I can always come back to what I'm doing.
So you identify.
And it doesn't always work. There are sometimes you've got these deadlines that you have to meet and you're like, oh crap, I've really got to meet that deadline. But if I've got the opportunity to, I really wanted to listen to a podcast, or I wanted to read a book. If I've got the opportunity to then go and do that because I know I'm going to learn something from it or gain from it, I'll choose to go and do that, or take the dog for a walk, or do something that's actually going to then re-stimulate my mind so I can come back and then refocus.
So the Helping Hub, when did it actually start? When was the inception of your business?
The end of 2018, so about 2 years ago.
About 2 years ago? And what's the biggest request or issue for help that you're finding?
The three most common services that people are purchasing, meal delivery, washing services, and cleaning services. They're our sort of they're our staple. They're the three things that people need the most when they're going through that challenging time, because it takes a load off.
So if I'm coming to you and I need some of these services, you'll actually buy a voucher and you'd hire someone? How would it work? Walk me through the process.
So essentially it's a gifting site. It's a website where you can literally get on the site, purchase whatever it is that you want to gift to that person, and then they receive a voucher to be able to redeem it.
And just to clarify, the three things are, again?
No, well, we have over 40 on the site, but the three most common and most popular: meal delivery, washing services, and cleaning services.
Wow. Is it probably, do you think it's because people are so time poor now?
Absolutely.
Would that be the reason?
Yeah, 100%. We're time poor, but also there seem to be, there really seem to be chores. So when you're tired, when you're stressed out, when you're challenged, the last thing you want to do or be thinking about are, the chores that have to be done, but you really don't want to do. You'd much rather be spending time with the family, or spending time with your sick mum, or spending time with a cousin, or celebrating.
This is a motto that I embrace, probably too much so my wife will tell you. If I don't enjoy doing something,
You won't
I
do it?
outsource it. No, I outsource it.
Right.
So I'll get it done more effectively. So if you want it done by tomorrow, I'll get it done every time.
Yep.
Just won't be me
Are
doing it.
you allowed a second wife? I'm up.
No. You know what? I'll ask tonight. Maybe we'll see what she
Okay,
says.
find out.
But for me, outsourcing is important. I'll tell you two reasons. Obviously I've got a very busy life. If I've got a bit of extra time, I don't want to do those chores. Two reasons. I'm probably going to butcher them. I'm going to be the worst. So my wife buys my daughter a little Range Rover. You know those cars you put together? $300. She goes, put it together. A normal male can do it. I go, but I'm not a normal male. Please do it for her. I go, I'm probably going to break it. Do it. All right. I put this thing together. She's went on it once. It's broken. We shipped it back. They go, you're broken. I go, told you. I would have an air tasker go out there. $50 would have had it done, and I would have been happy. And also, I can outsource these things. So I think it's important to outsource all the things you can.
Yep.
But on the proviso, you can still do them. What I mean by that is, there's no job that I'm beneath. I can do every job.
Yep.
So if I've got to wash dishes, if I've got to clean, I'll do them every time. But if I'm in a position where I don't have to, I'm going to outsource it.
But I also think it's about valuing your time. And is your time more valuable doing something, that's going to help someone else or your family or what have you, versus, you spending time doing the washing or cleaning it? That doesn't make sense.
Of course. And I still have not met anyone to date that actually enjoys washing.
Yeah, I'm not going to comment on that.
But anyway.
But the other, and that's the beauty also of the Helping Hub, is because people who want to be able to help someone else, we are all time poor now. And so, gone are the days where you had a whole tribe of friends who were able to each cook a different meal every single night and, come and do the washing and the cleaning and take the kids for you. We just don't have that time. So, some people do, but it's very few. And so if they know that they're actually gifting you the help that you need, then how gratifying is that?
Can I ask a question? How much would something like that be? So a voucher for...
It's entirely up to you. You can spend, our vouchers start online from $30.
So let's just say $30. If you give someone a $30 gift, it's nice, but it's nothing too good for. But if you give them 1 or 2 hours of doing something, it means so much more.
Yep.
Because you're gifting them that time.
That's
that
right.
value of $30 to them
Yep.
is so much more.
And
that's why it's such a great concept.
Well, and it's also, a sense of a circular economy of gift giving, because you're not only gifting a friend, you're feeling altruistic, so you're receiving a gift.
It's law of reciprocity.
By actually gift giving, you're helping a friend, you're also keeping another Australian business, in demand, and you're giving someone a job. So, and then in turn, they're able to feed their family, and the gift just keeps on giving. And that's what I love about, the model, is that it's just this continuous cycle of giving, and it doesn't just stop at a two-way transaction.
Well, look, I'm definitely I'm going to start using your services, by the way.
Thanks, Chris.
Now, are you ready for our quick fire questions?
Okay, go for it.
Do you have any pets?
Yes, I have one dog, Freddie.
Freddie, huh?
Freddie's
Every
gorgeous.
time I think of Freddie, I think of Freddy Krueger from Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, no!
I was scared of him when I was younger, that's why. Now, what's your favourite movie ever?
Oh, God, this is quick fire question, Top Gun.
What's your favourite TV show?
Oh,
Seinfeld.
No, I'm not going to tell you what he said. At the moment, it's actually New Amsterdam.
New Amsterdam? Oh, cool. Not Seinfeld?
Not Seinfeld.
All right. Dark chocolate or milk chocolate?
Absolutely dark.
iPhone or Android?
iPhone.
Describe yourself as a teenager in 3 words.
Cheeky. Maybe a little crazy. And ambitious.
I like it. Now, one item you can't leave the house without, not your phone.
Oh,
Because that's everyone's answer.
my keys.
Or keys.
Bang.
I'm going to keep saying that. No,
Okay.
next.
Children.
That's one thing I do leave the house with.
I do try and live without them, yes.
Give me your biggest pet peeve.
I'm really intolerant of incompetence.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Best piece of advice you've ever received?
Take time before you give an answer.
If you could be from any decade or era, what would it be?
I am loving right now.
I like that answer. You get a lot of people that say different ones, but I like that. Now, if you've shared some great stuff with us, if you want our listeners to take 3 key takeaways from our podcast, what would you like to tell them?
Help is out there. If you need help, you can create a gift registry or a wish list
Or go to the Helping Hub.
on the Helping Hub
Ah, there you go.
and share it with your friends. That way you don't have to think every time when someone says, how can I help?
Yep.
3 things I'd like people to take away. Listen to podcasts because...
Relentless Life on Your Terms, a great podcast. Definitely check that one out. Yep.
Absolutely. Never stop learning. Never ever stop learning. And is that the second or the
That's
third?
it. I'm going to put them
Yeah.
together. So you got to go. One
Okay,
more.
so one more thing that I want people to take away from this podcast. Don't be afraid to ask for the help that you need as well.
A lot of people are embarrassed, but there's always great things out there.
Yep.
From a scale of 1 to 10, how much have you enjoyed this podcast?
Oh, if I say 12, will I get brownie points?
You definitely. You get those cakes. There you
I
go.
want the cookies, yes.
Thank you very much for being on our show.
My pleasure. Thanks for inviting me, Chris.
Thank you.